All right, here we go. So tonight I am speaking with Alien Horde, a newer, at least to me, newer DJ on Twitch that I've recently discovered. Pretty awesome. I will let you tell us a little bit about yourself.
All righty. Hello. Yes, I am a newer DJ on Twitch. I've been DJing, I guess, behind the scenes for maybe 5 years or so. I started out by just making playlists for people and handing it to them at clubs. I am having a bunch of fun on Twitch. I DJ a lot of different things. Some of my loves are experimental, metal, and industrial. I like industrial a lot. And I know that's looking at me, that's definitely not something that's expected.
Right. Yeah. So what got you to join Twitch?
I had a Twitch for a while because I'm also really into games too. But it wasn't until, as with most people, it wasn't until COVID really kicked in and everyone saw themselves running virtually that I actually looked at it that way.
Yeah.
And having gone to a lot of different people's broadcasts and just trying to find my spot in all of it, I found that the stuff that I really like to hear, and even if it wasn't something that I personally like to hear, the fact that there was just a lot of people playing a lot of the same stuff, I was like, I should just start playing what I want to hear, because I'm having the same experience that I would have in a club, where it's like, yeah, but I can hear this anywhere.
Right. Yeah. Well, there are a lot of DJs to find. And there definitely are some that play the same stuff all the time, but there are others that definitely much more variety.
Absolutely.
People that know me already know that one of my faithful nights is DJ Zlaya DJ, San Francisco.
Yeah.
Tuesday nights he does a awesome industrial show. Because he plays lesser played tracks, and pull stuff out of his collection that he's gathered over 30 years.
Yeah, see, I like that kind of stuff where it's like, what's that now? Or that was a B-side? Or
well, he'll play like 4 songs and then he'll go back and talk about them.
Nice. Okay.
He provides a lot of story, and there's usually some kind of theme to the night. Like he's from Yugoslavia, and so last couple of weeks he had done Yugoslavian new wave.
Oh, that's cool.
And
that's cool.
So there it was like all new music.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Stuff like that. Exactly.
So there is that out there, but it's I know what you mean about.
It takes time.
But I know what you mean about wanting to play your own, because I started doing that for a while.
Yeah.
But then I never had any listeners. And then morphed into this interviewing thing, which seems to be working better.
This is awesome. This is awesome. Out of all the podcasts happening, there still isn't something like this. So yes.
Right. Yeah. Well, there are a few interview shows actually.
I will. Yeah, you're right.
But mine's different, I think. At least that's what I'm told by some of the other interviewers.
I definitely think so.
I've got my unique thing. So, anyway, so how long have you been actually DJing on Twitch now?
On Twitch, it's probably coming up on a year.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
fairly.
It took me a long time to find you then.
I am very bad, unfortunately, at promoting myself. I don't really like social media. It's been a lot of like, you could just tell that guy. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I guess I didn't discover you until you were on Hecate.
Yeah. So I have DJ'd with Star. I've actually worked professionally with Star when I used to run Bondage a Go-Go in San Francisco.
Okay.
And so I went ahead and got her back into the club so that we could have more of a female-oriented portion of the atmosphere. Because by the time I got on, I was like, no, we're severely lacking in a lot of other demographics. So yeah, we got her back in, and then I started to DJ with her through the Cauldron, which is the kind of like the first iteration of a nonprofit sort of thing, where we had femme DJs come together and raise money for different charity causes. So like that's kind of where that started. So I did that with her, DJ'd one-on-one with her a little bit at the beginning of the pandemic. So right when the lockdown was just starting and all the rules were just being made, I started to DJ with her at her house to benefit not only people being put out of work due to COVID, but also certain like BLM initiatives that were happening at the same time.
Okay.
So yeah, I kind of like got into it there with her, and then once she wanted to actually make a formal nonprofit and get everybody on like officially, I was just like, oh, okay, yes, you need more Black people, so I'll be there.
Yeah, I interviewed her and Caroline a couple weeks ago.
Oh, very nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yes, no, I saw that. She was part of the grid. I remember that.
Yeah. So let me jump into the first required question, which is, what does music mean to you?
Music to me, the way that like it just goes down for me is it's a lot of interpretation, a lot of expression, just like the meaning of those things. It's my way of expressing who I am in that moment. So if you sat here and said, okay, can you please tell me who you are? Like I could put together 5 songs that would probably explain it a little bit better. So to me, it's a way of communicating with people. So on my channel, I am really heavy on like, how do you feel? How is it feeling? You know, does this speak to you in any sort of way? Is it positive? Is it negative? Whatever it is, because I feel like a lot of people, especially like in the 90s, as they grew up with music, like those things define your feelings after a bit, like those become just part of your personality. And for me, that's exactly what happened. I grew up and it's like, if I felt sad, I ran to Death Cab for Cutie. Like if I'm feeling super freaking angry, depending on what it was, either it's Tool or maybe I'm going to Hosiko. Like who knows, but like those things defined my feelings. So I like to keep that up because I feel like a lot of people are missing some of their connections to music because we don't look at it the same way. The music just as an entity has changed so much over the years, which is great. It's changed in so many beautiful, wonderful ways. But you still find like the purists where they're just like, rock is only this if it's this. And it's like, no. We have something for everything. Like it's mind blowing. And let me take you through each thing if I can, please.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of kind of similar things from other people. And definitely the feeling. I mean, that has always been kind of essential. I mean,
yeah.
I don't understand how you can listen to music and not feel.
Right?
Right. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I've been to too many concerts where I've seen exactly that, and I'm like, okay.
Well, not all music will make you feel something.
Yeah.
Connect with you.
And I like to know that too. Yeah. I like to know that too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's going to be individual to a person, but
yeah.
But to not have any of it connect, that's just weird.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So for me, I'm just like, much like, we can all express our loves and dislikes through food, through clothing. You know what I mean? Let's maintain it with music because that is absolutely the place you need it. You know what I mean? That is absolutely the venue.
Yep. Like I've said this in other interviews before, but when I'm dancing, I close my eyes so I can, kind of
I do
feel.
too.
Yeah. Okay.
Too. I love bass lines in songs.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm just like, if the bass is just right and it's just fast enough and it hits you right in your chest, like I love that the most.
Yeah.
I like feeling like I'm inside of the song. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, what I do, I mean, I like bass, but what I do is I kind of focus in on just like one element,
Hmm.
and that'll change throughout as I'm
Oh
dancing.
yeah.
So it might be um, the words, and I'm sort of interpreting the words,
Hmm.
or it's the bass line.
Yeah.
And what is that telling me?
Or it's that little trill in the back that you didn't hear before in
Yeah.
headphones.
Just something that just at that moment kind of speaks to me, and I want to express it.
Yes, I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree.
The only problem with dancing with your eyes closed is it's a lot easier to trip.
Yes, I have learned how to dance with my eyes closed in 6-inch platforms. So
I'm not doing that. I like it when there's nobody on the dance floor. People are like, "Oh, the dance floor is empty." Like, perfect.
Right? It's like, all right, now I can stake my spot, and you can stay over there. Thank you, and I will dance over here with my eyes closed. Thanks.
Yeah, now I can go all crazy,
Yeah.
swinging around. Yeah, I mean, I remember when I grew up in Chicago, and people have heard me say this before. I went to this club called Medusa's,
Hmm.
targeted towards teenagers. So it's a juice bar.
Okay.
Played great music. In fact, it's the first place in America that Front 242 performed.
Oh. All right.
Yeah, so that's the kind of place it was, right?
All right.
That same stage, they also would have open for dancing, and that's where I often would dance because most people didn't go up there.
Yeah.
I would basically be running around back and forth and like dance against the wall and whatever.
Spot. There you go.
Yeah. So that's music. So let me see. So going back to the Hecate and diversity, anyone that would look at your Twitch page will see that you're very passionate and interested in supporting Black, Indigenous, people of color in the alt goth scene.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about like how you go about doing that?
Yeah. I have been to a ton of different clubs and scenes and whatnot, and just gathering the fact that people like me are not well represented across any of those subcultures. It made me just want to move forward and try to fix that. It started, the real work that I was able to actually get a hand on started when I became a manager with Bondage A Go-Go. Because that was my first reward experience with like, I can cater this experience in the exact ways that I've been looking for. So it was, hey, we need more femme and non-binary members just all around. You know what I mean? Like the fact that there are lots of powerful positions here that are filled by men, let alone white men, it's not helpful.
Right.
As a patron, when I first started to go there, it's just like the atmosphere is very oppressive and it's very standoffish to BIPOC. And if you want to expand in any sort of way, or you want to actually meaningfully present yourself as an ally, you can't have that. So yeah, it was making sure the dancers were as diverse as we could get them. So it didn't matter. It was like, okay, we need to have everybody of any creed. We need to make sure we're representing people safely if they have disabilities, because it's still the same thing. We have a pretty popular segment that has a representable disability. We need to take whatever feedback we can from our members or just our patrons, and actually put it back into our ecosystem. Yeah. So between trying to coach our DJs, like, okay, I get that you each have your own little niche that you sit in, and that's perfect. We still want you to bring that to the table. Keep in mind that, you know, maybe some of the lyrics you're playing might be offensive to, you know, some of the people that we have here that don't fit into like traditional beauty standards, for instance. You know, we don't want to alienate people that way. We want to try to be as inclusive as we possibly can. So, you know, just be mindful of the things that you're playing to make sure we're not offending anybody subconsciously. Same thing with certain event nights that we had. I'm not a big fan of ladies' nights. I'm from the East Coast myself. I'm not a big fan of ladies' nights because usually they're extremely predatory and no one is exempt from that. So you know, I'm just like, let's not do that. You know, we can have a night for certain just demographics that anybody can fit into, you know, versus, hey, you pretty much have to be what we call a woman to get discounts. Like, let's not do that.
Yeah.
You know?
That gets into real.
Exactly. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. You don't want to gatekeep. You don't want to all of a sudden let it down to some weird arbiter on the side. You don't need it, you know? So it was changing the way that people initially thought of what was accepted kink, accepted subculture, that kind of thing. So through a lot of those little steps, I've been able to cater a place that not only somebody like me would want to go to and stay, but something that was still super fun, super interesting, actually pulled meaningful inspiration from a lot of different places, because that was something too. Another thing that kind of bothers me when I go to places is when they play like a rap song or like an R&B song, but you can tell it's a joke. I hate that. I hate that. And so I'm like, if you're going to play these artists, it needs to be meaningful. Like, you need to show that this is either a genuine interest of your own or something where you're like, no, I can tell that people actually genuinely like this topic over here. I'm going to try to incorporate that for real, you know, and that's perfectly fine. So just kind of broadening people's expectations and their horizons on what truly fits, especially since the goth culture touts itself as the place where all the misfits are, you know? So it's like, okay, well then let's meet it.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's been something that I've been trying to do with these interviews. And, you know, I mean, there are not a lot of people of color out there DJing in this scene.
Yeah.
And so I am, that's my reminder. Always comes up during interviews. You know, so I'm trying to, you know, help bring attention to that. Hey, you know what? There are a lot of other people out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, yeah. I think you had said on your site that you try and do it through the music too.
Yes.
When you're playing.
Yes. Going out, a lot of people tend to have a very strict view of what fits in a lot of different subcultures as well. And that's, you know, it's no different between goth and industrial. Absolutely. And, you know, being someone, I listen to a lot of different types. Something that actually sticks out in recent memory is somebody was in my chat recently and they're just like, well, as long as you don't play country or rap. And I'm just like, you do see my thing says rap and hip hop, right? Like, just like, I'm not gonna make promises, okay? I know what I'm about. So it's gonna be what it's gonna be.
Right. Yeah.
but that kind of thing. I remember growing up, I remember in high school, as soon as I got my own taste in music, sitting here saying to myself, I'm not going to listen to country, I'm not going to listen to hip hop. And okay, if you have a very basic understanding of music, you might say that. But as music has evolved and as so many different lines begin to blur and so many different crossovers are happening, it's no longer like feasible to say that. Like it doesn't make sense. Like you can't just say that. and mean it 100% of the time. And so part of what I like to do, and it's especially with the reason why I made sure to call those genres out in my title, is I'll play them when they're least expected. Because I'm just like, I know what you're listening for. You're either only listening to the lyrics as they are, or you're listening to this one little bit that happens to be a signifier of rap music, and you're focusing in, and you're not taking in anything else, and you're just making up your mind. Versus I'm playing this here for a reason. I'm playing this one, for a reason. And a lot, for me, the fun is seeing people, wait a minute, what was that track again? Wait, who was that? Are you sure? And I'm like, come on now. And I'm like, this is part of the journey I wanted to take you on. This is exactly what I wanted people to open themselves up to. Because especially being in the club, it's a lot of, we play the mainstays. We do that. We don't stray very far. That's it. And there's too much music in the world. There's too much art in the world to sequester yourself in just one of those bunkers, like for real. You're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah. Well, in my interview the other day with DJ Daryl Hell, one of the questions I asked him is like, kind of, because he's been through a lot of genres, starting with, he started in '72.
Oh yeah. Okay.
From classic R&B, punk, punk, industrial, all that. And I'm like, well, where do you think it's going from here? And one of the things he talked about was his sort of, I don't think he used the word intersectionality, but that really, I think, fits with I think he said crossover, right? The blending of different styles is definitely much more common, I think, now.
Absolutely.
It hadn't really clicked with me, I think, before that. But yeah, I could definitely see that there's a lot more, the lines between, there's
everybody thought that it was clear. And it obviously isn't. Like, it very obviously isn't.
Yeah. One of my favorite examples, actually, I got from my interview with MP3J Sark, who he intentionally plays, a lot of people of color, he just kind of mixes it in. And one that he played I really liked is Backwash.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, Back X Wash. Yeah.
Yes.
And she describes herself as what was the term that she used? I have it. I thought I had it. But basically, it's it's like dark wave, or no, I know, queercore dark wave hip hop or something.
All right.
Yeah. And it's really, if you haven't seen her or heard her, it's worth checking out. I looked a little bit into her. She's transgender.
Okay.
From Africa.
Oh, nice.
Working in the tech world.
Oh boy, hitting all the check marks.
Up in Seattle, and then just kind of making music on the side.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and it has a new album coming out soon.
Oh, all right. Gotta check it out. Gotta check it out.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I was looking up on her Bandcamp or not. What you call it? The
Was it Mixcloud? SoundCloud?
No, I guess it was Bandcamp, right? Yeah, that's where everybody's buying music these days, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of people are on Bandcamp.
SoundCloud and Bandcamp mixed up. I don't know why. And I don't know if it was there or somewhere, but there was a link to her winning a music award, right? And I'm not sure, it's music within the LGBTQI community, and she won something.
That's good.
So yeah. Anyway, yeah. So there's a lot of that out there, and yeah, I think when people get, I guess there's one question I kind of would ask is, do you make it subtle or do you point it out? It's like, you're playing something and it's like, you want to point out that, hey, you know what? This isn't your stereotype, right?
Yeah.
Or do you just kind of like work it in there and then someday they find out, oh my God, I had no idea who this was.
I tend to do both. So depending on, so as it pertains to my Twitch, depending on how many people I have, before, for a while, I didn't have too many people around and, not too many people speaking. And I was just like, oh, that's fine. You ask or you don't. It's okay. I'm just going to play whatever it is that I like. Now that I have more people and I'm getting more questions, I'm actually trying to figure out a way to integrate without being too cluttered. I'm trying to figure out a way to integrate that information so that people can recognize it when they hear it. Because I play artists at the same time that don't get radio play either. You might hear them on someone else's playlist, or you might have seen them at a concert way back when, and then now you recognize it. But yeah, I definitely want to point it out so that people can relate the two. Because I also find, especially when it comes to like rap and hip hop or anything that might fall just outside of alternative, a lot of people kind of look at the members and then assume what they must sound like.
Right.
So I play a lot of horror. I play a lot of clipping. Like, I love those two bands, but they almost couldn't be more opposite. So it's like they have some things in common, but horror is definitely way more punk, way more experimental in their sound, way more get up out of your seat and just like let loose, which I love. And I've been lucky enough to see them in concert too. And I'm just like, I love seeing this side of Black culture and like how we interpret it. Because that's more so what it is for me. It's showing that Black culture is multifaceted just like any other culture. Because we very much get bogged down in a lot of harmful stereotypes, a lot of, oh, you can't do that. Like, that's just not for you. And it's like, no, we are everywhere just like you are everywhere. And then you have clipping where they're just like, no matter what we sound like, we're a rap band, okay? That's it. Do not call us anything else. We are a rap band. And I'm just like, that's cool. You can say and do whatever you want. And I love this because people will hear you and be like, oh, you're some sort of experimental kind of da-da-da. And it's like, no, this is what rap is now. And I'm like, exactly. This is what rap is now, okay? End of.
If they want that, that's what they want to call it. That's what it's called.
Exactly. And I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. I mean, just like when I was talking with John up in Calgary, there was something we were talking about, with what you call what kind of music. I'm like, it's just like with pronouns, right?
Oh yeah.
Right. You don't determine the pronoun.
Exactly. Exactly.
So same with music. Whatever they want to call it, that's what you call it.
Because I used to do the same thing. I used to sit here and try to like explain clipping to people. I'm like, they've toured with Youth Code, and so maybe they sound a little bit darker. I'm not too sure yet. And then I hear some other tunes, and I'm just like, they sound kind of experimental. Look at their Wikipedia, look at their bio, and they're just like, we're a rap band. And I'm like, oh, that makes it simple. Very good. Okay.
Yeah. And honestly, there's so much diversity in the music. Crossing over, blending all these different styles.
Yeah.
And put anything in categories anymore.
Exactly. And I think that's the natural evolution of music, especially since music moves with technology. Yeah. So technology is getting more and more abstract, which is fine. But of course, music will follow in its steps, because that it relies on it. So why not expect things to start blurring lines? Why not expect one day you just won't really be able to describe that music in such simple terms? You are going to have to start talking about the instruments or the notions behind the artist or whatever their motivations might have been. This is the times we're living in.
Yeah, you just say it's good. Right?
I'm like,
you got to experience
it. Get out of your chair, whatever that means.
Yeah. Just rather than describing it, just tell people to experience it.
Exactly.
Yeah. why not? Um, so you had talked about, what you're doing, what you had been doing in the clubs in the before times.
Mhm.
And now, um, I think one of the advantages of Twitch now is it's really opened up access to all kinds of different people. And so
Mhm.
you brought up, people with, various disabilities or whatnot that might that make it more difficult for them to be able to,
Yeah,
be entertained, go to clubs and stuff like that. Um, and that's one of the things that has come up in some of the interviews is that this Twitch has been great for all kinds of people that wouldn't normally be able to go to a club. If they were in
exactly.
a city, right, where
Mhm.
there are clubs, they may not be able to go because of, physical limitations,
Yeah.
um, just mental limitations of
Mhm.
being around people, um,
Absolutely.
and then of course financial limitations.
Yeah.
Right? It's not
There
cheap to
is
go out, right?
no, people don't
So,
realize that there's a whole slew of things to get
and then
together
there's
and get in line.
people just in the middle of nowhere.
Right,
You know,
exactly. Exactly.
how many clubs are in the middle of Nebraska?
Yep.
Nothing, right?
I lived in the middle of nowhere, Florida, for a little bit, and
Yeah,
the only thing going was, just the local bar or maybe like this one big club, but you had to go quite a ways down to it. And it was either you do that or you sit home by yourself. But that also means if you go to this club, you're going to have to deal with whatever they're playing. And so I've spent many a night going just to go and standing in the corner for all 4 hours because I was just like, at least it's something.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's I'm in Charleston, so it's there's not a lot of options here
Mm-hmm.
either. We have a little group that gets together. Did get together once a month. We had a scene for a little bit where we actually had like a couple of different nights a month.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't last very long, but getting bands here doesn't happen.
Oof. Yeah. Oh yeah. Having yeah.
Although we did get Boy Harsher before they had their first record deal, so I got to meet them, see them play at a small club because they went to school
Yes.
just down the street,
Very nice.
and they went to school in Savannah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
I
So
saw them at a little like used bookstore / coffee shop
yeah,
way back when
yeah,
in Tampa. And I was just like, okay, because a friend of mine was like, there's just this band, Boy Harsher, you should definitely come. And I was like, okay,
yeah,
that's fine. Paid $5 and I went sitting in this cramped little cafe. And I'm just like, this is pretty cool. And then like a year later, I think they toured with the Soft Moon, and that was amazing. So I was like, here we are. This is fantastic.
yeah. Well, when they played in Charleston, I think it was probably one of their last small shows
Mm-hmm.
because it wasn't long after that they played at Cold Waves,
Oh yeah,
and,
yep,
and then we're opening for Front 242.
yeah. The
So
fast track. Like,
yeah, um, yeah. So I actually, I talked with Jay, um, just like, how because I already knew that they're going to be doing these shows.
yeah.
How did you do that? She's like, oh, we just got a good manager. Like, is that really all it takes?
Sure. Goodness. I
Yeah. So
love it. I love it.
I remember she actually had given me her, their band email address, and
Mhm.
I said I wanted to give them advice because as somebody actually called me an elder goth, I I can do that. So I wrote this long email about um, what I thought it takes to make a lasting impact, and that is
Yeah.
through experimentation. Because the bands that I've liked for decades
Hmm.
are always changing.
Yes.
So you think
Yes.
about, Skinny Puppy, Noy Boughton, Cabaret Voltaire. These are some of my favorite bands.
Hmm.
Velvet Escort. These bands, you know, each album is distinct enough generally that which album it's from. Other
Right.
bands
Right.
out there, like VMV Nation, I know they're huge, but I started listening to them early on, but after the third album, and I couldn't tell the difference
Yes.
between the three
Yes.
albums. It's like they just got one sound,
Yes.
right?
And
That's
it works for some, it doesn't work for others, and but that's it. It's either they're on or they're off. Like there's no.
So anyway, that was my advice to them, was to experiment with, different styles, try different things.
Very good
So
advice.
when I saw her then later at the when they opened for Front 242, she came out afterwards and was just out, and so I went out and talked to her, and she's like, "Wow, I never expected such a long email." I don't know how much she actually paid attention to it, but
Right. I mean what I said.
yeah. I did tell her it was a big compliment that my wife said that she liked them.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. Because a lot of bands don't really do much, right? They just stand there,
Yeah.
hit some keys.
Yeah, absolutely.
But she, made, and they're pretty minimal, but that she still put on, a good show.
Yeah.
Like all kinds of displays and everything, but just the
Like you could tell.
energy,
Exactly. The passion.
Right.
Exactly.
that was there. So, but what I was getting to was with the before times with clubs, now the Twitch, there will be the after times.
Mhm.
And so it's going to be different, right?
Yeah.
Clubs will open, but I think a lot of people are still going to stream. And so I think there's still a lot of opportunity to keep up the kind of stuff that you're doing. So have you thought at all about what you're going to do when clubs reopen?
I have a very loose framework of something that I'd like to get out there to help take Bondage A Go-Go's place, to just further at least those initiatives in person for people, because I don't want anybody to think that, oh, well, it kind of died when that died. Like, that's not true. For me, that was a stepping stone. I wanted to get it out in front of people. I wanted to show that no matter what anybody says, it works. Those changes work. Yeah. For me and Twitch, it's definitely kind of the part two to everything I was thinking of with Bondage A Go-Go as well, where it's like, I've always said there needed to be a wider internet presence for us. Something that we could offer people either in the far reaches of wherever they may be. There's a ton of people that move, and have said, oh, some of my best times were there, but I live in Wisconsin now, that kind of thing. It's like, we should be able to still connect with those people. We should be able to connect with people who just stumble across us easily to, at least show them what we have to offer. And then just hit the target demographic that's actually showing up in front of us. So that was something that was a big struggle for a long time, where it's like, okay, you started this idea 20, 25 years ago, that's fine. But fast forward to today, it's not the same people. And the people that are walking in our door now, they're younger than me, which is still fine. But they are in a different headspace. They're doing different things with their time. They find different things interesting. They go to different sources for their information and for entertainment. And one of those places is the internet. And it's crazy to keep undervaluing it. And I keep saying that as someone who does not like social media. I hate social media. But it works for so many other people, and you can't ignore the fact that that's just where they are. So, if you want to show that you're not, just blatantly ignoring them and ignoring, just what they like at a very, very base level, you gotta stay and maintain your internet presence in some form or fashion. For me, it's the delicate balance of what am I comfortable with, and what do people need to still feel engaged. And I feel like the way that Twitch works is probably the best mode for me to maintain a healthy balance in both of those buckets. Yeah. Some people, it's I'm just going to go back to using Facebook. I'm just going to go back to using Twitter most of the time. I most likely will just stay on Twitch because it's a good way to offer the same thing after hours. It's good to still, catch people wherever they're at. So I might set up a webcam at a club night or something like that if it's feasible, just to be like, you want to feel like you're here, you want to see how we're doing, this is what we have, and just mesh the lines there. It just is it's a better idea moving forward, especially since everyone has been forced to grow with the internet so quickly.
Yeah. Well, what I hear a lot of people saying is that they want all these streams to continue, even after clubs open, because a lot of people that are in there are not able to go.
Exactly.
So I've heard some people talking about, that they'll continue to stream, whether that they're streaming their live events or they're doing live events and streaming on different days.
Yeah.
There's still that. I think, and have for a while thought that this opens up a good revenue source for the clubs that that survive.
Yeah.
That survive, right? Because there's definitely a thinning of the herd right now. And so I think my belief is that when we do finally get past the numerous setbacks in combating the pandemic, thanks Texas, and my state here in South Carolina is no better than that once people start going back, there are going to be fewer clubs to go to, fewer bars to go to, which means that they'll get more packed, presumably. On the other hand, we don't know how people are going to behave.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Some people are, eager to get out there and will, just go crazy going out as much as they can. There are others that are gonna still wait a long time before they feel comfortable being, in that close proximity.
Yeah, I'm absolutely one of those people. Absolutely one of those people. It's like we had problems before the pandemic. I'm really not trying to make them worse.
So I think there is definitely room for revenue streams for clubs to stream.
Yeah. It's all about people actually embracing it instead of seeing it as the enemy. I've definitely met a lot of people who are just like, no, because as soon as we do that, then we lose people walking in, we lose this, we lose that. And it's like, if you actually married the two purposefully, meaningfully, and made the whole thing your identity instead of trying to segment it off, people won't see it that way. People will not view it that way. They will view it as one and the same, and you won't lose anything,
Yeah, and I mean, you can certainly, paywall it. There are a number of different companies coming up making sites specifically for that. They're making platforms for that. So there is that opportunity to, sell tickets to be able to virtually
then access.
Yeah, and you don't have to sell too much.
Right. Especially when you're in front of so many more people than before. It's like if you were only relying on leg traffic, then you can only make your ticket so high if you're not offering too much, but you're in front of the world now on the internet. Okay. There's no limit there.
Right. And if you're, for example, if you're a DJ and you're only getting a small cut. Right. From and the tabs and all that. If you're a venue, obviously that's different. But just, even if you're able to, charge $2, right? I mean, how many people is that, that you have how many people would that make up for, I mean, how does that translate to, losing people?
Yeah.
Right? It's not that big a difference, because there's obviously operating expenses.
Yeah.
Right? So
it's going to be what it's going to be, but it's not like you're paying, your 2/3 of your $2 to each and every single person that came across.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's not like it costs you more to have more viewers.
Exactly.
If you have more people in the club, you have to hire more people.
Yeah, you have to hire more people, you're buying more supplies, it's a whole different thing. And it's like it's possible to do both. It is absolutely possible to do both. But what I found is that a lot of people, there's a stigma against fully properly joining up with the internet age. And yeah, I'm just like, especially now, if this wasn't the kick in the pants, like,
and that's going to further thin the herd. Those that don't embrace this are going to struggle.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what I was wondering was your own personal thoughts on like what you will do. Like what are you going to when we're going back to clubs again? Are you going to continue?
I'm going to continue mine.
Yeah.
Because I'm nearly 100% sure that if I just kind of relied on going to a club to like get my fill, that I'll end up in the same situation. I'm like, no, I'll just go back and do that. So to me, it's fun. I'm growing a great community, which I'm super, super happy about. And I'm meeting people that I never would have been able to meet before.
Right.
And those kinds of things are super important to me. So I will absolutely keep my own up and running.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the majority of the people I've interviewed, I have never met in person. That's just, how it is.
Yeah.
I hope to meet someday. Someday and take a tour of all these cities where all these DJs that I've been following and talking to for a while now, and meet them in person for once. Finally. But yeah. No, I certainly see this as a big future. There's of course the big question about whether Twitch is going to shut down music or not because of the DRM.
Right.
But the good news is that there are other platforms.
Yeah, I think that everyone kind of funneled to Twitch because it's very easy. It's very easy to join. It's very easy to sign up. Most of it is free. So we just love that kind of thing.
It's also easy to monetize.
Yes. You have like a few benchmarks here and there that you have to meet, and right then and there, as long as you either have a better online presence somewhere else, or just people are just good enough about sharing your stuff. And that's exactly what's happened to me, where it's like, even though I don't have a really strong social media presence, people have been good enough to me to share my stream with other people. And that has helped me climb through the ranks to then be able to start monetizing things. And even then, it's just like, I'm happy to be able to do it, and I'm happy for whatever good things that brings. But, by no means am I acting like it's required. Like, you don't have to be this nice. I am so happy that you are, but you don't have to be this nice to me.
So you're not one of the DJs online that is relying on this for income?
No, I happen to be in a fortunate enough situation where I don't have to do that. But anything that I do earn through the stream goes back into the stream. So it goes back into new gear. It goes back into purchasing music from other artists to help support them too. It also goes into, when we do open things back up again, whatever negotiating and regulating costs would come from me starting up an in-person event again. Because that is a longer term goal for me. So it's making sure all of those kind of operations are still running, and just trying to spread as much goodwill and cheer and help as I can.
Yeah, like, well, for me, any subs and bits, which I don't get many of them, I give out more than I get. All goes to me doing bits and subs and hype trains on everybody else's channel. So
yeah, no, and I am extremely thankful to have been one of those people. Thank you so much.
I'm happy to do it. I've brought a few people to your stream and got you a few new fans. Yeah.
And I'm super happy about that.
I've seen people now saying, "Oh yeah, let's go back to Alien Horror."
That's Amazing. I love it. I love it. That is so amazing. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's so
I like
exciting.
particularly helping get exposure for people that don't have a lot, that
Mhm.
have something good going on. You know, and particularly, you know, uh, people of color that are not well represented.
Yeah.
You know, just you know, it's something that you know I try to do here at the college. It's just bringing up the point that you know representation makes a big difference, right?
Absolutely.
So you know, I've gotten other faculty to start thinking about okay, who are you using for speakers? Who are
Mhm.
your examples? You know, try and bring in something other than you know white men. You know,
Yes, yes.
just so that you know people start to see, oh wait, you don't have to be a white man to be a banker or you know,
Right?
something.
Especially if you want that person's truth. It's like if you actually wanted to hear what I had to say, don't ask so and so down the road. Like, there's a reason for that.
Yeah. So so I'm happy to see, you know, the diversity out there that's appearing.
Yeah.
Um it's I don't know the right words for it. It's kind of
It's
um
there's no more gatekeeping. We're
yeah.
all on Twitch. We all have to start at the bottom. We're all starting at the same level, like we
Mhm.
truly should be. And so, whoever is actually making quality content in their own right,
Yeah.
they're raising through the ranks at the same speed as most
Mhm.
other people tend to. And because of that, yes, you are seeing the actual true demographic of all of these cultures.
Yeah.
And that's something I like about Twitch, where it's, you know, for a minute there, I felt kind of weird, and maybe I was putting myself too out there by
Mhm.
saying, okay, yes, I am pro-black, and everything I do, I am pro-black. You
Mhm.
know, for a long time, I didn't really want my webcam to be too close to me because I was like,
Mhm.
well, there are some people that get kind of weird about that if they can then tell that I'm a black person. But at
Mhm.
the end of the day, like I can't hide this, so why am I trying?
Right. Right.
You know, why is that something I'm getting hung up on? And it's unfortunate that society's kind of like pinned that on me,
Mhm.
but you know, that's all part of it where it's like, you know what? No, I know that I have something pretty cool to offer people who want to chill with me, and I'm just going to do that without, you know, all this baggage. You know, that's not me, that's not mine. I didn't do that. We're just going to go, you know, and we're going to see where it takes me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've enjoyed the sets. Other people have, you know, it's um yeah, and because they you know, there's been times I think the most recent one there was a lot of stuff that I never heard. So the only thing that's missing is like a track list, like what's playing
Yes,
now,
yeah, right.
right?
So yes. I have to find the
So,
right thing. My frame, I was afraid that putting yet another thing in my frame would be too much for people.
oh yeah,
So
yeah,
I
you
was
did a
like,
lot.
I was just like, that's why I haven't figured that out. But I've
Yeah,
got some good feedback, and people are like, no, I think it'll fit right here just perfectly. And I'm like,
yeah,
okay, as long as you like it, all right.
yeah. Well, take a look sometime at DJ Poe's site, right? He's
Yes.
got a lot going on his, right?
All
So
right. Yep.
he's got just up in the corner is like the it's about maybe a third of the screen
Mhm.
is him DJing.
Okay.
Underneath, he's got this little avatar thing where everybody's got, you know, gets to be um,
Like in the
like a
lobby, like just
Marvel character or, you know,
that's
whatever,
awesome.
right? Then he's got the Go Goth Cam, which is inside, well, it used to be inside a TARDIS. Now it's the
Oh.
bridge of the Enterprise, basically, you know, so I mean, he's got all of that space, you know,
Okay.
so you can definitely put a lot.
All right.
No,
We got
I
it.
mean, you saw I had 13 windows open.
Yes.
So,
I might consider Brady bunching it and truly making it the most weirdly infected computer screen possible.
yeah, I mean, I you could definitely probably do a lot with the with all the horror stuff.
Yes.
Yeah,
I had a request for more eyeballs, and I agree.
yeah, yeah. Um, Oh yeah. So I have one question written down here, which is, tell me about aliens.
About aliens.
Because I mean, your name is Alien Horror. You like aliens. Uh, it's just kind of one of those things that just jotted down. It's like, okay. So, eh,
All
I don't
right.
know, what do you know? Does this whole alien thing, not the necessarily the movie Alien,
Yeah.
but the concept of aliens? I mean, what is that? What does that mean to you?
To me, it's it's simultaneously all-encompassing unknown,
Mhm.
like an intimidating unknown, but a world full of infinite possibility.
Okay.
And I feel like the concept of aliens embodies both of those things,
Okay.
where, you're encountered with a creature that is almost infinitely more intelligent than you and just has seen so much of the universe and has been able to adapt in so many different ways, just light years beyond what we currently are
Mhm.
able to do, and can wipe you out in an instant in some cases. you know and then the fact that there are beings like that might exist, meaning that we as humans could probably get to that point too. Like,
Right.
it's still a possibility. It's possible for them, it could be possible for us. And I think that both of those things are pretty cool. And
Yeah.
so just seeing how those two concepts, whether intentionally or not, are kind of displayed amongst the different kinds of aliens throughout like pop culture,
Mhm.
I think are pretty interesting. My favorite are the Mars Attacks aliens. That has a lot to do with the fact that, yeah, they're very, like, we don't understand a whole lot about them because they're not able to communicate with us very well for some reason.
Right.
But they do have like technology that surpasses our own, and they just don't care about us. They just don't care. And I like that, where it's like there's no amount of negotiation you could try to sit down and accomplish with them, because at the end of the day they know that they're better. And they're just like, I have to do this. No, I'm done. And
Yeah.
it's just like, yeah, that's it. There's no, the US is coming to save the day with grand talks. No, like, I don't care about any of this. And I like that.
It's a very different perception.
Yeah,
Right.
I think that's super. This is great.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of things with sci-fi in particular is, um, can easily be interpreted in, is often been a way to take humanity and just,
Yes, and extrapolate somewhere and just be
yeah,
like, if we decided to focus on this, like, I really love Ghost in the Shell as well. I've got a Tachikoma tattoo. That was my first tattoo.
yeah,
Yeah, the Tachikoma with the Section 9 logo. And then a nice little UFO there. I like that too. It's the intersection of humanity and technology. And if we decided to put our efforts in certain buckets
mhm,
and then just let it go, where could we go?
mhm,
And just thinking about those and trying to work out the questions now, because a lot of Ghost in the Shell is working out like the ethics,
right,
and a lot of technology talks are kind of missing that, where it's like you need to start with the ethics
mhm,
because we're crazy people and we will absolutely do any and everything if you let us. So, instead of trying to catch up to, oh, maybe we should have, GDPR. Maybe we should make sure that people aren't like harvesting all of our information just to turn it back on us one day. Like, instead of coming at the end when it's already happened, it's already devastated certain people, you need to start thinking about that now. And I like Ghost in the Shell for that reason, because it's toying with the future of, okay, what if we were downloadable beings? What if we were able to just transfer our consciousness in an instant the same way we do with regular computer files? Like, where would that take us? Where would that lead? What are the kinds of things that would come up if we just let that go with
right,
reckless abandon? And I not only enjoy those conversations so much, but I think they're extremely important if those are still goals for us, like that's still like a real goal that we have. So it's like, okay, but we got to start talking.
yeah. Um, yeah, I've read a lot of classic sci-fi, and just you can tell in a lot of it that it was basically just taking what we have and translating it to something
Yeah.
foreign, alien, whatever. But it's very clear what that's really representing.
Exactly. Asimov is great for that.
Yep.
Freaking War of the Worlds is great for that. Like all of it, it's just two steps over here, and all of a sudden we're in this ridiculously chaotic future.
Yep. Yeah. So let's see. I'm just looking at my notes of what else I want to talk about. So you had talked about being originally on the East Coast and now on the West Coast. So how did that happen? I mean, so did you like grow up on the East Coast and decide you wanted to move west, or how that
I
worked
grew
out?
up on the East Coast. I'm from New York City originally, from Harlem. And then I moved to Florida with some family. And then when after I got out of college and everything, and was just like, I don't like Florida. I never really did.
Yeah.
When
Don't
I
blame
was,
you.
yeah. So that's when I was like, oh, there's nothing keeping me here. I'm my own person now. That's when I later made a decision to come out to California. But yeah, it started, I thought I was going to live the rest of my life in New York. Like nothing was going to change that. It was just where I was from, what I knew. And then things just changed with my family, and we ended up in Florida. But yeah, as soon as I ended up on my own again, I lived there for a couple more years, lived in Tampa for a good while. And that's where I kind of like formulated like my current self, where it was me experimenting with so many different things just to kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
And eventually landed on, no, I really fit in the goth culture. Like, even though people will straight up tell me that I don't, I do. Okay. So fuck you. So, yeah, I was like, I absolutely belong here. So through all of that, I am really passionate about my consumption of music and musicians and just their art. And what I turned that into was just kind of, I went traveling for a bit, for about 2 years. I bought the cheapest plane ticket I could if I had to like fly somewhere. Like I'm on Frontier and Spirit flights for like 8 hours, just to make sure I'd spent only $25 taking those flights. And I was like, this is the time. If I was never able to do it before, this is the time. I'm going to go ahead and rack up all of these experiences because they're important to me. It's important to me to go and see whoever I can see, because at the same time, I kind of had the realization, oh shit, like, yeah, I liked them when I was 15, but I'm almost 30 now, which means they're older. So I need to hurry up and go see them. It's a lot of that. I was telling someone the other night in the chat how one of the biggest regrets I had for a long time was when I really got into At the Drive-In. I had heard of them for a long time because they're, the really old, late 90s, early 2000s band, and super great. And I was like, yeah, loving it. Moved to Florida, and then realized that they had broken up. And like the last tour they had, like the last stop I think was in New York, but I was too young to have gone and seen it. And I was just like, are we serious right now? Like, I can't keep having that happen to me. And I'm telling you, they reformed now, and I've seen them 5 times. It's like, I don't want to keep having that happen to me, but you can't wait 10 more years to hope they'll get back together.
I do have to point out one thing that you said, though. It's really old back in the 90s and early 2000s.
I'm going to say that because of my demographic. It's old.
To me, that wasn't that long ago.
It wasn't, but it feels like ages. It feels like ages. The times have changed so much. It feels like it's so long.
Yeah. But if that was a long time ago, then like
Right.
it was
Oh boy.
Middle Ages. Yeah.
I do tend to put it that way when I am talking to younger people because there are certain like definitive markers that they haven't had yet in their demographic. So it's like, all right, well this is gonna sound old only because I'm gonna also talk about how Polaroids were still a big thing and like all these other things. You're not gonna be able to contextualize that. So just I'm gonna say it's old.
Yeah, I find myself occasionally, talking about examples in class, and my students are 20 to 22, and I forget that means that they were just born in this century.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, so you remember back when, and then I'll talk about it like, oh wait, you probably weren't born then, right? And they're like,
no, not at all. just the crushing sadness of not knowing what a corded phone looks like.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I ended up in California most oftentimes when I did travel. That was almost kind of purposeful where I was like, oh, there's a lot of industrial bands out there, a lot of foreign bands. There are places in the US that a lot of foreign bands will never miss. One of them is New York, the other one is LA. They're never gonna pass up a chance to go to either place.
Right.
Now, it's a matter of which one's cheaper when you're looking at them. And so oftentimes I ended up in California. And after a while of flying out to California back and back and back and back, I just had people in Florida like, do you even live here anymore? Like, are we the ones you're visiting now? Like, what's going on? Yeah. Good question. Bye, I'm moving.
Yeah. And my wife, she was originally born in California. And raised up until high school, and then the family moved to Corpus Christi, Texas.
Oh,
she was not a fan. So
I lived in Texas, not a fan.
Yeah, she moved up to Chicago.
All right, good transition.
Many years later, I met her.
Fantastic.
So I totally understand got to get out as soon as you can.
Yes. Yeah. In Florida, one of the great things was that I was very close to Atlanta. So I did lots of day trips to Atlanta. And they have a really great industrial scene, something that I always suggest to people. It's like, if you want to be in a place where, you'll simultaneously be outnumbered by Black people, but then also see Black influence in every single little thing that they have. Atlanta's such a great place to be for that. Where it's like, yes, they have an industrial scene, but the amount of Black people in it, just all of the different kinds of expression and little like niches that they fit into, and just the way that it developed there. Like, I absolutely love it. And I do miss it being so far away because I'd be like, oh, drop of a hat. What? It's only 5 hours. We'll go.
Okay. That's about the same for us. It's about 5 hours to Atlanta.
Ah, nice.
Yeah. But to go means, that's...
You gotta clear your whole thing.
I mean, it's a whole day because you have to stay overnight, right? Mm-hmm. It's a 5 hour drive, and then you're going to go out and then...
Right. Yeah, figure that out now. Yes, when I was playing it fast and loose, I do it all in one day.
Yeah, well, yeah, we can't.
No more.
No way. So we've gone down there for a few shows.
Nice.
Which is good. And until recently, we were going down there for Dragon Con too.
Okay. I have not been to that one. That seems like a really large convention. I used to do anime conventions all the time, but that one seems a little too big.
Oh yeah, it was up to like 75,000 people over the weekend.
Yikes! In the middle of Atlanta. Oh.
It's everything that you could possibly like, you'll find. And if there's a costume, if there's a little tiny niche within a niche within a niche,
somebody's got it.
You'll be that one person that gets that one person's costume, and it will make their whole weekend.
Nice. I have a Mars Attacks cosplay. I really do.
Yeah.
I made myself. It's freaking amazing.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that it's really known for, because it's organized by fans, not by,
Oh,
right.
okay.
So it's very,
Okay.
so
That makes sense.
about fans, and it is. There's a lot of cosplay.
Very nice.
There's also a lot
Very
of parties.
nice. Yeah, that you only hear about the parties of Dragon Con. I was just like, I don't know if I can handle 4 straight days.
I mean, there's programming going 24/7.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, so
Wow.
all night long there's bands playing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so I mean, you've got like filk kind of bands, but you also have some industrial bands there even.
Oh snap.
It's a wide variety.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely when I first went, it was like, why have I been missing this for all these years?
Right.
So then we started going every year, and then what happened? Then one year so getting hotel tickets is a challenge. I mean,
I believe it.
the main hotels there. I know we're going way off track here from the conversation, but the Marriott is like the only one where you can really get tickets. But that's like, it opens up at 9 a.m. on a particular day and is sold out by 9:02.
Wow. People are serious. Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The Hilton, people are locked in there. So once you're able to get the reservation, they offer you a reservation for next year.
Oh, okay. That's convenient.
So it's kind of like, you will always get that. So there's never any openings.
Right.
Right. And so in Atlanta, there's the 3 hotels that are all connected.
Yeah.
The Hilton, the Hyatt, and the Marriott.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the main programmings are. But then I also use the Westin and the
there's a Sheraton right behind it. Yeah.
Sheraton. Yep. So those are the 5 venues.
Okay.
And there are so many tracks there.
Wow.
I mean, it's not just sci-fi and stuff.
I thought it was mainly pop culture-y kind of stuff.
It's a lot of that, but it's even science.
Nice.
Like, people from NASA and JPL will do, there's a whole track of them doing stuff. Yeah.
Oh,
so like, I went to one session that was one of the directors of one of the Mars rovers doing a presentation. It's like,
what?
Yeah.
You've opened my eyes.
I've done panels there about entrepreneurship.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's obviously they didn't have it last year. It was online.
Yeah.
But another cool thing about it is that it is very fan oriented. So they have what we call a Walk of Fame.
Okay.
And so most of the guests will have a table. You can just walk up and talk to them.
Oh.
Unless they're really popular, then you gotta wait in a long line. But,
right.
I've had some fun conversations with people there. I talked with what's his name from I'm picturing it, but I can't remember his name. One of them has been the guy from Warehouse 13. He's there every year.
Yeah, I can't.
And what's interesting is that he always wears a Skinny Puppy shirt.
Oh, there.
Yeah. So we had seen him on the TV because they broadcast into the host hotels, and we saw him there, at one of the panels talking. He was wearing Skinny Puppy. I'm like, okay, we got to go down there and meet him.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very
So I
nice.
guess one of his friends is in Tool,
Oh,
and they're friends with Ogre, and
snap.
so
Okay.
something like that. And so yeah, he's a fan of Steamboat.
Alrighty
Yeah,
then.
you never know, right? Um, oh, I still can't think of the name of it. It was a show um, about this the science of like this alternate universe thing. Um,
Oh.
you know,
Wait, so was it like shit.
I can picture it.
Same. I'm getting like fragments of it. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Anyway, John something the main actor, the older guy, right? He was just sitting there, and I went up and I just talked to him.
I miss when conventions were like that, where you could just talk to the guest instead of having to do all this film to try to make them.
Yeah, so he's done a few different shows. He was in that show. He was in a few episodes of Blacklist. And then he was also in what was that? Some other show that we didn't watch for very long, but anyway, he always kind of plays the same sort of character. And so, I asked him about that.
Getting typecasted like that.
No, not typecasted. Well, so in this show that I cannot think of the name of, he played a guy named Walter.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
A scientist. And so there was this alternate universe, and there was a Walter there that was Walternate. And so the way he played those two were very different.
Okay.
The character that he played on the Blacklist, I said, is that if you think about it, like all the characters he plays are very brilliant people, right? That kind of go astray in some way.
Yeah.
So could you see the character from Blacklist being another Walternate? He's like, I never really thought about that. He's just a really evil man, but all it takes is like one instance of things that happen, and that's how we portrayed it on that show.
Very nice.
Why I can't think of the name.
It'll come to you right at the end.
Yeah, I can't say Twit, but that's definitely not the name. It's like one word. I know that when this airs, people will be typing in the chat. Oh,
be like, it's this.
Like, yeah.
Got it.
I did this. Well, I did an even worse thing when I couldn't remember the name of Game of Thrones. I originally said Lord of the Rings. And I was like,
it's okay. As someone who definitely hasn't seen it, I started throwing out a whole bunch of different.
Well, it was an interview with Scary Lady Sarah, and she had never seen it either. So she's okay.
She's like, I believe you. Yeah, that sounds right.
Well, I was joking about how George R.R. Martin is famous for taking a very long time to get his books out.
And yes, I do know that. I do know that.
Yeah, she has a book that's been coming out for years. It was originally a 30th anniversary book, and now it's been 33 years. So I said, well, as long as you don't take as long as George R.R. Martin. She's like, who's that?
It's fine, Lord of the Rings. Abraham Lincoln told us it's fine. Just don't,
So so these interviews have been a lot of fun and a lot of brain farts on my part. But this happens to me all the time. Like when I'm teaching, there's like one word that I just cannot remember, and so I'm asking students, "What am I talking about? What is the word I'm trying to think of?" It drives me nuts. And in fact, I looked it up that there is a type of aphasia that can happen from a brain injury, and I fell on my head when I was a kid.
Oh no!
Yeah, so I've got a scar here or something. I I haven't shaved all of my head yet, so I haven't seen
Because you're just like,
it.
you're just gonna.
Yeah, anomic aphasia, where you have a real hard time with remembering some words.
Mm.
And I know a lot of people have that problem of trying to, that happens all the time.
Yeah.
But to me, it can be really extreme. And so in the description of it, it's typically nouns and verbs, and it's most noticeable when you can't circumlocute, which means you can't describe it in other words, right? When there's only one word for it,
Yeah.
like a name.
Yep.
Right? You can't call somebody by a different name.
Right.
It's you there.
Sure, right? No, it's actually Timothy.
Yeah. So when and it wasn't a problem until like when I started teaching, and there are things where there's only one word that is the right word to use, and I start really noticing that.
Right, because you have to keep pulling at it. You're just like, no, I need this. Like
right. And it really came to the fore as obvious when I was looking at a mailbox and I couldn't remember the word for it.
Oh.
I'm like, I know what this is, right? But I can't remember what it's called, right?
Wow.
Right. So like this thing with Game of Thrones, like written by George R. R. Martin. It's on. It was on HBO. The first book is the Song of Ice and Fire. I can give up all of these things about it, but I can't remember what it's called. So it's one of those really frustrating things.
Super weird manifestations.
Yeah.
Dang.
But I developed this little trick that helps me a lot of times. Is I slowly in my brain go through each letter of the alphabet. I pause just a little bit after each one, and usually the word will come to me once I get that first letter.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll do that later and try and remember what it is.
That's really cool. You just make the caption whatever.
Yeah. Well, by the time this airs, I'll have known it. And then, but people will have been typing it and all that. I think I've gone through like all of the main questions that I wanted to ask you. So I finish up on one final required question, which is, what gives you hope?
What gives me hope? I think that the way that my small community that sprung from so many other people from so many far reaches, and like the way that they've kind of woven around me to get me into the network, but like how organic all of that was and how heartfelt all of those little steps were on their behalf, like that sort of thing gives me hope. It lets me know that if it was truly up to people, things would be more equitable, things would be more representative of the world in front of us. It's very easy as you get into like the regular day-to-day, especially when you're just going to work, just going home, like that little routine, to feel like everything is kind of slated against you in a way that's like organic, where you're just like, oh well, that's just how it is. Right. And having had my experience on Twitch and meeting the different kinds of people I have and having them be from all sorts of different places, the fact that they are coming to spend time with me on their own or at the suggestion of someone else that was meaning well, and they're actually taking part from their own heart, like that's amazing. And it's definitely enough to put the rest of your day-to-day in perspective, and like, no, all of that half of that's bullshit. Half of that is just made up garbage to keep you down from whatever different way they can keep you down. Right. Versus on this platform that more or less is trying to be fair to everyone and afford everyone the same shot. Now it's up to you to do whatever you're going to do, and people will find you and spend time with you organically. There's someone out there that's going to like what you're doing. There's someone out there that's going to support you and want to go along your journey with you. And to me, that gives me a lot of hope for what the next phase in social interaction can be. I feel like it can definitely be a lot more wholesome than what we're used to.
Yeah.
And a lot more meaningful than what we're used to.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to a lot of the original thoughts about what the internet would be, is democratization
Exactly.
of the world. And so, that's the word that keeps coming to mind when you're talking about, that's, leveling the playing field. It's like that. It's a democracy, giving everybody the power to
truly make it,
and we vote by views, essentially. Right. But that then gets me to one of my other pushes, which is really to work to help get other people elected, like women, for one. More women,
absolutely.
more people of color. We've had enough white men.
Oh yeah. That's for sure.
So that's I've been talking about that a lot in my, I bring that up in my classes all the time now. It's like, if you want to, because we talk a lot about systemic problems, right? And you realize a lot of them boil down to laws written by old white men.
Absolutely. I tell a lot of people, I'm like, it goes back to how were they able to keep you down originally? You know what I mean? The cotton trade has a lot of say in the way that like our workforce is these days. It's just another iteration of the cotton trade. It worked then, they think it's going to work now. Why change it, right? So, these are all different things to look out for, and different things to, if you're going to say that it's an issue that you care a lot about, you got to follow it through. You really do.
Yeah, so I actually went up looking into some organizations, because Das Christoph had mentioned that he wanted to kind of organize one of these, chain, raids.
Oh, right,
yeah. And he said he wanted to do something for women, and so I was looking up, and so just the different organizations that are helping to get women elected. And so with the tab that I have open right now is Get Her Elected.
Okay.
And that seemed like a good one, so I suggested that to him. There's another one, I think it was called She Should Run, or something like that, but they're both geared towards helping encourage women to run for office, and then support them in running for office.
Yes.
Like, just
wonderful.
Yeah.
You got to get it from all angles. So it's like, yes, not only should you run, but we also have to make sure that you're put in front of a demographic, or at least in front of people that are open enough.
Well, just helping you figure out what's got to be done
to
run, right?
Exactly.
Not like I'm, just putting a hat in the ring. It's
a lot of people think it's that simple, and it's like, yes, we do have laws, but some of them aren't as stringent as you think, or some of them do exist, some of them don't exist. There's lots of misconceptions. So absolutely, it's wonderful that they're trying to educate, as well as make sure that, hey, if you do choose to do it in the end, we've got a different support system for that too.
Yep. Yeah, and I think I want to say that it has like two sort of tracks. Like one is, if you are running, here's how we can help you, or suggest somebody who should run, and we'll reach out and get them the.
I like that.
I don't know. I looked at a bunch of sites, so I can't remember.
Still, that's a pretty cool setup. A lot of people like our write-ins, so why not? Just start putting them out there.
Well, I mean, just getting started early and getting on the ballot.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, we've seen what can happen.
And why slow the momentum now? Why? Why back down now?
Yep. So that's one thing that gives me hope.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Love it.
I've started, I guess I start answering that question too. I've got a lot of things, each time it's something different. So
No,
try to
I
find that,
absolutely agree with that too.
Yeah.
It's a lot of different things. I'm hoping that, with this past year and all of the ups and downs, like people are really starting to take it to heart. That was important to me way back when. It's important to me now. It's like, are you actually learning your lesson?
Yeah.
That's important. If you're just kind of going through the day to day and only ever sitting here hoping that it'll all be over, you're not giving anything back. You don't get it. Like, you're not getting it. And we don't need an overabundance of people that don't get it, because that's how we got here in the first place. Like, you don't repeat this.
That's been actually one of the positive effects of the pandemic. When you have a lot of people out of work with nothing to do,
yeah,
right? They have time to read about stuff.
Exactly.
The right kind of stuff, but that's also what enabled all the protests this summer. Or else those would have just come and gone like all the others before.
Exactly.
Right. So that was what I mean, there's been video before.
Yep.
Right.
There's been pictures before. There have been witnesses before, but
But now that you had a bunch of idle people.
Yep.
So that actually is something that I wonder what's going to happen once people start going back to work. Are they going to start to ignore again?
Yeah, I am afraid of that bit. Everyone is overly willing to be complacent again. And it's just like, yes, I too would like this to be over, but you have to understand why we're still in it. How we even got to the point where everything came to a screeching halt. You have to understand what led to that and work to change it for the future, especially if you don't like it now. I don't like this more than the next guy, but that also means I have to work towards funding people who need the funding to make sure this doesn't happen to us again. We have to change workplace laws to make sure people don't just lose their jobs just because. We have to change the way that workplaces operate so that people aren't dying on the jobs that they have to keep. Like, there are so many different things that we have to work at. And, simply wishing the pain away is like not helping anyone.
Just ignoring it.
Exactly. Like, it's not cool.
It doesn't affect you. It's really easy to ignore.
Absolutely. And that's why I'm like, I've been fortunate enough to be moderately okay in this whole situation, but that is not the story for most people at all. And just because I'm okay doesn't mean that I should sit on my laurels and be like, well, everything worked out for me, so there's nothing for me to say. Like, there's tons of things to still say. And, whatever little bit of privilege or comfort that I have, I need to repurpose that and put it towards someone who doesn't have it. Like, that's just what we have to do.
It's also, I think, important to point out that the people who are struggling right now are experiencing it for the first time, whereas other people have been experiencing it their entire lives.
Precisely.
And to recognize that
and it's like, there are lots of things I don't agree with in the Bible, but the need for suffering is absolutely one of them, because we've seen what happens when you don't suffer. Like, when you don't actually have adversity to overcome. We've seen what those people are like. So hopefully these first-time sufferers are learning something and will be better to their fellow person.
Yep. Well, hopefully they're learning a little bit from these interviews. We get into a lot of these topics, which this just helps a little bit. And then going to channels like yours, learning more, getting more exposure.
I hope so.
Reading, your page and what you're about.
We can be like this.
Finding other ways to help. I know you have a new thing coming up with you and Circuit Witch.
Yes. I am really excited about that. So we are first going to do, I believe now it's next Tuesday. So not tomorrow, but next week. We are going to do back-to-back raids on like both of our regular nights. So I'm going to start a little bit earlier because I'm West Coast and she is East Coast. So I'm going to start a little bit earlier in the day, try to get everybody in, nice and cozy, and then I'll raid to hers. She'll play for an hour, and then she'll come back to mine, and to finish out the night, we'll go back to hers to try to not have her on too late. And then
so that's the 23rd.
The 23rd. The 23rd, we're doing that. So it'll be.
We don't know yet when this is going to air.
Right.
We
Yeah.
haven't figured that out.
We'll see. Well, actually, the next thing, because that one is longer. That one is an expansion of the idea.
What we might actually do is air this before.
Ah, sweet.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you want to work that in, we maybe could.
Yeah, absolutely, I can do that. Yeah, I think that we
We'll
settled
talk about that
on,
after the interview.
settle all the time, but it's
But then
not
you got a regular Saturday thing.
Yes, then the regular Saturday thing is every fourth Saturday we're going to do back-to-back raids with each other. And yeah, it's starting on my channel since I can go later than she can. I want to try to help her get into bed earlier. So yeah, we're doing back-to-back raids, and it was her idea actually. I haven't had any other opportunities to really work with anybody. And I believe she came in on one of the raids that you brought everybody over on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so she's like, I love what you're doing. You play a lot of the same stuff that I do. Really, really good stuff. I would love to at least have, this one day that we do it. And so we came up with a Tuesday, and I was super excited about that. And she's like, you know what? I'm like super excited about this. Can we just make it a regular thing? And I'm like, what? For realsies. So I was super jazzed about it, because she's just like, yeah, we got to help you grow your community. We got to get you more followers. Like you were great. And I'm like, I am stunned at all of these compliments. Thank you.
And you both have this alien theme.
Yes, like it couldn't be better matched. I think it's absolutely perfect. And I was just like, absolutely. And now I need to dress up more, because at first I was being really lazy.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're gonna make me crack open my closet again. Okay. It's been a long time.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll get to see that Mars Attacks cosplay.
Oh my gosh. Maybe, just maybe. I got it. Just maybe. I might do it.
Right.
I have a huge Oblina cosplay too from Alvaro Monsters.
Okay.
That one's a favorite. But yeah, giant snake trying to DJ might try to crack that one out.
Maybe just for a little bit.
Just a bit, just a touch. But yeah, I'm super excited. Like, to me, the thing that she came up with, and the way that she's trying to ingratiate me into the community, or at least the various ones that she's a part of, to me, that sort of thing is equitable, like working with someone, versus being like, well, I might be able to give you a shout out here and there. And I'm like, that's cool, but we got to look at the impact of those kinds of things. You could do that, but without a few other steps, people aren't really following through, and you have to encourage people to follow through. Yeah, and so, being able to partner with someone who knows that they have a larger audience, but also knows that, the same way I want to take a little something, I should give back a little something, and just trying to find a way to do that and make that meaningful. That this is a really amazing way to do it. And I am extremely thankful to her for wanting to do it with me. There's tons of other people she could have chosen. And I'm just like, I feel so amazing that you picked me to partner with.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I kind of see that happening more of, these people kind of working together a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of people that, have a regular, it's not fixed raid, but okay, this is who I always raid at the end of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to find some people to fill in that spot. And I don't want it to be, just whoever people think are super popular. I still want it to jive with my ethos on that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I would prefer it if it was somebody who wasn't getting a whole lot of attention, because I remember that too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was me too. And so it's like, I would love to pay that forward to whoever that is, but I also want to make sure that it's someone that still has the odds stacked against them. So, if it can be another BIPOC, I would prefer that, because we get sidelined on a lot of different issues, and Black History Month is not an expansive amount of time to go over it. So,
have you talked with John?
I haven't. I need to.
Okay. Yeah. He usually plays late at night.
Oh, wait. Calgary, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I just came across them recently. So yes, I need to talk to them more. Because I did notice that, and I was like, oh, dang. I gotta be up.
Yeah. He does. He calls it after party. So basically, after everybody else is done, that's when he's.
Right. I gotta do that, and it's a good spot. If you can do it, definitely be on when no one else is on, because everybody's here.
Right. So I mean, that might be like where you end.
Yeah.
You go.
Yeah. I got to look more into that. Yeah, because I got to figure out which days we overlap, because I noticed that I was going to do that the other night, and I was like, oh, wait, nobody's here. Okay, I don't know what to do.
And then I got him a couple weeks ago rating in the morning to Mike Marquez, who does a show outside in New York at sunrise.
Okay.
And it's like a house music kind of thing, but it's outside somewhere where the sun is coming up, and
that's really cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he's another one that does an interview show. He has a DJs After Dark.
Okay.
He does these really long live interviews. With like.
Okay, and so it's like kind of like an AMA, like people can ask little things here and there if they want to.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Nice.
I've only caught it a few times, but yeah.
Okay, that's really cool. All right, I like this. Like, these are things where it's like, oh, you had to like be a part of a certain niche if you wanted to hear about them, or you had to have a certain level of time because you were already going to the club and you're already trying to go over here for brunch, like you're already trying to go to work, like. This is cool that this stuff is just happening and it's all in the same place at your fingertips,
Yep. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I like connecting people. I like bringing people to, those channels that, don't have big numbers. Get them, and a lot of people have that same kind of thinking. It's like, who needs to raid more? So you're looking, okay. This person's got 35, this person's got 15. Maybe we go to the one with 15 and help them. Right. Yeah.
Exactly. For me, it's, I'm absolutely trying to do that. I'm absolutely trying to pay it forward. And it's just funny because I put the additional qualifier where it's like, if you could please be Black, maybe. If you could just that'd be great.
Well, there's more and more popping up.
I'm excited. I am very excited about all of it.
Yeah. All right. So with that, we're rating something. I don't know yet. It might be, the Tuesday. It might be one of your other shows.
Yes.
We'll
the Tuesday and Saturday are in the same week.
Yeah. Well, you have some other nights.
And then I have other nights. My other nights, like a Sunday or a Thursday.
Yeah, so we'll have to figure out when we're gonna air this. But whenever this does air, in a minute or so, we will be rating you.
And I'll be excited to see all of you.
Yeah. All right. So thank you for taking time to speak with me and for everybody to get to know you a little bit better.
Wonderful. Thank you for having me.
All right.